Hey, what's up, everybody? Bringing you a review of the Storm Collectibles Street Fighter 2 Evil Ryu. This is from the Final Challenge version, based off the Nintendo Switch game. So, yeah, let's get started. Uh, Special shout out to Storm, who have always hooked me up and wanted me to review their stuff. Uh, I thank you guys so much. I appreciate what you do, and I appreciate you getting all these game licenses to really bring love to the fighting game community. So I just want to let you know I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Um, just want to jump into this. I want to start by saying this is dope because it's really nice to finally get something in the form of an Evil Ryu. I would love an Alpha 3 version. So if you're listening, Alpha 3 Ryu, really love that. But it's dope to have a start somewhere, especially with Evil Ryu. I already like the body and the muscular proportion. It's designed by Kiki, so it's kind of the base design across the board, the same muscle design, interior. Obviously, we'll get changes as we go towards different games, but it's really cool to get this. So, as normal, we're going to jump into articulation. Evil Ryu has a lot of articulation that actually begins up here with the head. I'm actually going to bring it down a little bit so you can see it. And as you can see, you can rotate it all the way through and around. I love this soft plastic. I don't talk about this enough, but the soft plastic that allows you to kind of just wiggle it like a real body, it's really dope. So you can look up, you can look down, you can do it side to side, and the ball joint allows you to get the maximum mobility on the head that you can possibly get. And I love that. Like, you don't see that all the time, so that's really good to have. The bandana can actually be taken out very easily. It can actually be positioned to go 360 degrees around, so that's a very simple one for you. The sculpt on the head is actually very, very nice. The eyes are black and red, with the pupils actually being no, the iris actually being white and the pupils being red, which show an evil intent in Ryu, which is really dope. And the classic look of those crazy, crazy eyebrows he has is done naturally, and I really like it. Now, as far as the midsection articulation, what's really dope about this is that we actually get a butterfly joint. It's hidden well under the gi, so that's really cool. And the arm actually rotates all the way through and around with zero issue. And we have bicep swivel. The arms are double jointed, but as usual, the muscle definition gets in the way of it folding too far forward. But there can be a two fold, so actually you can get that going, as you can see here. The wrist ball joint allows you to maximum articulation, so you can actually rotate it all the way through and around. You don't have to worry about missing anything, and you can do all your Hadoukens. The best thing since they first started doing these is that now you can actually get a great amount of ab crunch here. So you can actually rotate it and go all the way through and around. So that's really cool. And actually, you can actually take off the gis as well. I'm not going to take off his gi here, but I'm pretty sure you'll know. You can take off his gi, the top at least. So you can go with topless Evil Ryu, so you can make the 5 version. Some of you might want to paint the scar on. It's pretty cool. And I love the kanji letters. I love that. This actually rotates through and through, so you can actually do it in the direction of when the wind is blowing. So if the wind is blowing this way across, you can actually make that happen, and vice versa. So that's pretty cool. The leg articulation is actually really nice. Same with Violent Ken. You have to be careful. You have to be careful, or this will happen, where it rotates. And the reason why that is because when you're lifting and rotating these joints, the ball joint actually comes out from under. So you have to be careful how you go about it. Nothing actually broken. It's just a matter of you want it to rotate well enough so that way you don't pop it off the joint. So as you can see, watch this. I'm going to carefully hold one leg, rotate one forward, and as you can see, it pops a little, right? When you put that back on, you have to be careful to rotate it through and out. So as you can see, you can get rotation going outward, and I mean really far outward, to the point where, as you can see, even though he has the articulation, the ball joint would continue to go under. So what I suggest you do is not make it go too far crazy over, or you do it to where you push this back down a little. Let me see if I can do it. Nope. Let me try that again. So what you're going to do is you're going to rotate it back up and not go too far, because what happens is the ball joint hides in. But you can get the articulation. What I suggest you do is you actually fold the ab crunch forward and you rotate it like this, and voila. Just like that, it actually sticks on this time. You have to just be careful how you rotate the ab crunch to extend the joint inside the upper torso. So you have to be careful. But if you don't think Ryu can't balance, you're wrong. He can. I've done it, and I'm going to prove it again. Got to prove it to both myself and you guys. You can do it, Ryu. You can do it. I want you to do it. I know it's going to be quiet for a second, but I want to prove that the balance is there, because I've done it with Violent Ken, I want to prove that Evil Ryu can do it as well. And voila. As you can see, he's balancing on his own. And I want to show this kind of stuff off. Because everybody says, oh, it can't do this, it can't do that. It is possible. I've done it on camera, and it's very much possible. The legs are double jointed, but as you can see here, the muscle definition and the faux cloth, well, not cloth, but the design of the cloth that's supposed to be on him actually hinders that a bit, but you can get really far back. Just so you guys don't know, you can actually rotate the lower foot too, where the gi is, and there's a foot and toe joint. So you actually get a nice range of motion. I'm really enjoying Evil Ryu. I really liked Ryu. I just really thought that that upper torso joint could have been better, and the lower torso. And actually, they've made all those improvements ever since they've done Kuma for the first time. So it's really nice to have this. Really like this Ryu a lot. So it dawned on me that I am liking the certain characters more and more as I play with them. And I'm going to move back a little. And the reason why that is because I want to show some size comparison after I show the hands. So I'm just going to prep myself now. All in all, the Ryu is actually really dope. It's one of those things where if you love fighting games like Street Fighter, you're gonna actually like this because it's actually true to the character design. If you're not a fighting game character, you're obviously not gonna buy this, and that's fine. Just don't bash things that aren't for you. Instead, just say they aren't for you. You know? So, real quick, we're gonna talk about things that come with Evil Ryu, and then we're gonna jump into size comparisons. First thing I want to talk about are the heads that come with Evil Ryu. This is the more of scowling, growling face. As you can see, it's very nice. You don't see a bandana on the back, but the one cool thing they do is throw in extra bandanas for you. So this is actually really cool, and it's soft plastic, so you don't have to worry about breaking them. So you don't have to worry about switching the bandana on each head. You can give one to each of the heads that he has. This head is actually really nice. I love the sculpt on it. Like I said, it's very Street Fighter 2-ish, and I like that a lot. Then we have the Hadouken Shoryuken head, which it's more open mouth. It shows you doing action. It shows you yelling. It shows ferocity. I like it. Good stuff. Next up, we have the bonus to be continued head, where he has 2 black eyes, some bruising around his side of his face. I really, really enjoyed it. They threw this in. It's definitely a throwback to Street Fighter 2, where you can clearly see that even Evil Ryu can get his behind whooped, right? You know what I mean? If you want to get your ass whooped, this is definitely the head that you show when you're before and after. You know what I mean? This is dope to actually include. I like that a lot. Next up, we're going to talk about the hands. So you get 2 open palm hands. These hands can be for jumping over things, jumping over characters, trying to balance, just trying to show him doing things, or just, you know, whatever. These actually can be used for relax or putting his hands to his sides. Next up, we're going to do Hadouken hands. So these are hands obviously for throwing Hadoukens when you want. As you can clearly see, they are meant for throwing Hadoukens. That's all they're there for. Then you have more menacing attack hands. These can actually be used to grab other characters, shown doing action. And I didn't notice it before, but it's actually cool to have a little paint scuff on his gloves. It's actually really cool that they included it on both. As you can see, it's actually different too. So it's not one of those things where they're just mirroring it. They actually put a level of detail into it. So that's really nice. Next up, we're going to come on to Ryu's special effect, which is the Hadouken. Where he's evil, I guess he's under the influence of Satsui no Hado, and you get this. This can either be used as his Shinku Hadouken or Metsu Hadouken, depending on which version you want to say. But this is actually really nice. While Violent Ken's had the Hadouken effect in it, Ryu's does not because he has a more potent and powerful Hadouken. So it actually shows the force behind it. This is really dope. It's translucent on the front. I haven't tried to take it apart, so I'm not going to. And you actually can. So as you can see here, there's the outer shell, and then there's the inner shell. It's really dope. Broken down into 2 parts. And there is a plug piece right here on the outer piece. So once you plug it back in, voila. Shelled and battled. Really nice. Real quick, we're going to jump into size comparisons. I'm going to make Ryu look really cool while we do this. Make sure he looks nice. As we compare him to other Storm Collectibles and as well as other scales and sizes, so you can see how big he is and how you're going to work him into your photos for later, or your collection for that matter. So to make you look good, head is on right. All right, we're going to jump into it. First off, I'm going to do Violent Ken, and the reason why is because if you're going to get Evil Ryu, you're more than likely going to buy Violent Ken, and just in case you watch these out of some sort of order, you can see these guys together. And as you can see, they look really well together. I like the look. Has the definite Final Challenges Street Fighter 2 vibe to it, and I love that. Here they are next to a Mortal Kombat Rain, also by Storm Collectibles. He's a little smaller, but it still works together because their scale is different from other scales. So I like it. Because it's different enough, you can kind of fit their own stuff in with each other. Especially because even though they're different universes, it works out. Next up, I want to compare them to Akuma, also by Storm Collectibles. And Akuma is supposed to be bigger, so it actually works out really well, considering how much bigger he is. So as you can see here, he towers over them just a bit. So it works out when you want to do photos of him pretty much battling them to the death. Because as these two being violent counterparts of themselves, they're going to probably battle to the death. Next up, we're going to compare him to an Articulated Icons Ninja. So let's get that over there. As you can see, he towers over him. Towers over him completely. Next up, we're going to do a Marvel Legends Spider-Man. Show you the scale. And Spider-Man is tiny compared to the Storm Collectible stuff. But that doesn't mean you can't have fun and do a Marvel vs. Capcom crossover with some Marvel Legends, especially with the bigger characters. Here he is next to an SH Figuarts Kamen Rider Gem. And as you can see, more of the Japanese other scales are just out of scale. But if you want to compare it to the more American stuff, it definitely works a lot better. Here they are next to a 1000 toy synthetic human, which you can see he's also tiny. And last but not least, the guy who probably would scale better than most stuff is the Mezco stuff, which scales normally pretty well with the Storm stuff. And even he is small compared to Ryu. So as you can see, the Storm stuff is just its own scale. And that's totally fine. So, you know, it happens. But all in all, I think you can still enjoy it with some forced perspective. So that's cool. In the meantime, I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you found it informative. All in all, I hope you do good, be good, drink your water. Later, guys. Real quick, we're going to add this on at the end of the review that I have for Eva Ryu. And I totally forgot to mention this. Is that besides Ryu having already an all-new sculpt, I know it looks the same, but Ryu actually has a unique sculpt for both Hen and Violent Ken. But I'm not talking about it in Ken's review. Is that with Ryu's gi, you actually can change it. I don't know if you guys can see this, but let me try to get in there. There are 2 portholes for each side. There's 2 here, and you'll get 2 here. And the reason why that is, it allows you to change the size and the kind of dynamic that you get with Ryu's gi. So if I change it around now from its original standing, I'm going to swap it in. And I remember this also being on Akuma's as well, but Akuma didn't have 4. He just had like 2, I believe. So we're going to switch this around. We're going to pop this on him real fast. And I'm going to add this on at the end of it. But I forgot to mention it because I was doing it in photos, but I wasn't really doing it, explaining it in the video. So as you can see here, I'm going to wrap you right back around. I feel like I'm dressing a small child. But yeah. And let's say you wanted to put it through the first or the second porthole, you can actually make it a little tighter by dressing it through the first porthole so it wraps up. But I'm going to put it through the first one. Oop, if it doesn't get lost in there. So make sure it is slid all the way through. Wrap you in. And last but not least, the last part with the belt gi. And then at the end, we're going to pop on this. And it gives you a slightly different look. It's not all the same. But what happens is it does wrap him up a bit closer. Or in this case, you can actually wrap it so that it gives you a little bit of room in the chest area. So as you can see here, it gives you a little bit more room. Now you have not a drastically different Ryu, but slightly different look that lets you do kind of what you want. So it's pretty cool. But I wanted to make sure I added this in, so my bad, y'all. Anyway, thanks for always watching, guys. I appreciate you. Later.